Hey, it's Kamori, and welcome to a new series that for now I'm calling Cosplay Rewind. This is where I'm going to go over some of the costumes that I made a while ago, back before I started doing YouTube videos, and talking a little bit about how I made them, and I hope if you are planning on making this costume for yourself, you find these videos useful. So today I'm going to be going over my Ibuki Mioda costume from Danganronpa 2. I made this back in, I believe it was 2015. Starting with the skirt, this is actually even older than 2015 because this is the skirt that I made for my 2014 Makuro Ikusaba cosplay, and I just repurposed it for Ibuki. But I made it using the same technique that I used for my Junko skirt, so I'll link the video for that in the description box below if you want to see a basic pleated skirt tutorial, and it just has a zipper up the back. And for Ibuki's belt, I just found this studded trim at Joann's and sewed it onto the skirt itself. Since this costume was made back before all of the Simplicity, McCall's, cut sew, schoolgirl patterns were available, I had to improvise the pattern for this shirt on my own, so I made it by tracing around a V-necked scrub top because the scrub top didn't have any stretch to it, and I wanted a fabric. I was going to be using I think this is like a thick cotton maybe that I used. It was fabric that was left over from another project, and I just laid the scrub top down onto some paper, traced around it for the body of the shirt, and also traced around for the sleeves of it. So for all of the trimming on the shirt, I just used some black bias tape, and for Ibuki's symbols, they're actually just drawn on with a permanent marker, and they held up pretty well. And then there's just a little triangle that I cut and then drew on with permanent marker as well for the little insert. And for the sailor collar, it's made out of some more black fabric, and then it has white bias tape for the lines. And I made the pattern for the collar just by putting the white shirt onto a dress form and then pinning some tissue paper onto the form on top, and then just drawing the shape I wanted the sailor collar to be, cutting that out, and then sewing it on. For her tie, just made a loop so that the tie has something to go into, and then it's just a strip that goes all the way around underneath the sailor collar and comes to 2 points. And this was just made using some pink fabric that I had left over from another project as well. For Ibuki's necklace, I used pretty much the same technique that I used for the Miu necklace, excuse me, and I'll put that video in the description box below. But instead of having it just be on one cord, I braided the cords beforehand, and then I wrapped the pieces of leather around for the barbed wire, and honestly, I like how this one turned out a lot better than Miu's, to be completely honest. But this one, I do like how Miu's has the clasp in the back, whereas this one, it just has a tie. So you just through the loop from the braid and then the two long ends, and you just tie it together in a bow behind the neck. For the ear cuffs, I got these from Target a couple months before I made the actual costume. I just saw them and I was like, oh, spiked ear cuffs, Ibuki, I need to get these. And they were part of like some punk Halloween costume at Target. And they also have these strands of chain with spikes on the ends. It would be more accurate to take the chains off, but I just like the added effect that they give, and plus the spikes tend to be covered up by the wig, so I like having this extra little dangly bit there. For Ibuki's fingerless glove armlet thing, I used some black stretch fabric and then painted the pink designs on. Not too happy with how that turned out because the paint ended up being quite stiff, so if I was to remake this again, I would either find some black and pink stretch fabric, or I would get a black and white stretch fabric and then just dye it pink. And lastly, for Ibuki's stockings, I got one pair in black and one pair in pink and one pair in blue, and then used one thigh-high from each package since Ibuki wears mismatched socks. And I just got them from a Halloween store in the mall, and then I took a pair of scissors and cut them up since Ibuki has tears in her stockings. And that's a quick recap of my Ibuki Mioda costume. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope this gave you a couple tips if you're planning on cosplaying Ibuki at some point on your own. Now that there are so many sailor uniform patterns available, I definitely would go that route if I was to make this again, instead of trying to make my own pattern and draping the collar piece and everything. I would just use a pre-made pattern. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Unfortunately, it is now way too small for me, so I'll probably end up selling it since I can no longer wear it. But I am still pretty happy with how it turned out. For more cosplay recap videos, please subscribe, and thank you very much for watching!